Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us again, yet for another wonderful online live coaching session that we are going to have right now. It's a sheer pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of X Monks. X Monks is it's an ecosystem where we bring to you the world-class coaches, where we bring to you the world-class leaders who are doing some really meaningful work in their own lives for personal transformation and leadership development. This is International Coaching Week going on. And how could we not bring individuals like Mr. Rajeev Dubey to share his wisdom and share his experience in the domain of coaching? Let me just take a brief, let me just give you a brief introduction, though I will not be able to complete the introduction in case I start it the way it is. So I'm just going to briefly introduce him to you. He is a principal currently, Mr. Dubey is the principal advisor to Mahindra and Mahindra Limited. He has served Mahindra and Mahindra as the president in the past in HR, aftermarket, and corporate services, apart from being the member of the corporate of the group executive board at Mahindra and Mahindra. Just to tell you about the decades of experience that he has with himself. Mr. Dubey joined the Tata Administrative Services, the central management cadre of Tata Group in the year 1975. During his tenure of 21 years with Tata Steel, he held many senior positions in the marketing division, was the chief resident executive in Delhi, and the general manager for town services in Jamshedpur, before taking over as managing director of Tata Metallics in the year 1996. He was appointed as the managing director of Rallis India Limited in the year 2000, a position he held for 3 years. He was also a member of executive committee of Tata Quality Management Services, Tata Sons, and the Tata Council for Community Initiatives. And that's how he has served several boards, several organizations. He's also served CII National Committee of Indian MCs, the CII Apex Council on Affirmative Action, and the CII Western Regional Council. He's on the governing board and the advisory council of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and a member of advisory council of Population First, Mumbai chapter. He's also on the board of Walchand Talent First Limited. You know, I can go on and on and on. He's the chairman of Sustainability Council in the CSR Council and the member of corporate governance cell of the group, Mahindra Group. So if I have to go on, I can go on and on and on. You know, apart from what he has been able to accomplish in his 4 decades of experience, I think the kind of person that he is, it's always a pleasure. I remember my first meeting with him in his office, and the way he treated me, I suddenly felt bigger than who I was then. So every time when you'll speak to him, you'll come across an extremely humble person, somebody who's extremely humble and who would treat you like a human being without looking at the designations that you have, without looking at the cadre that you belong to, without looking at your age or gender. You know, if I were to ask for, I would definitely would. It's a sheer pride for me that I've had the honor of working with him on some occasions, interacting with him for several hours together, days together, having lunch with him, having dinner with him. And every time when I've spoken to him, I feel really nice about myself. I think that's one of the biggest trait of a leader. The moment you are in the company of a leader, how do you feel about yourself? And if you feel really great about yourself in his or her presence, you know what? You are in the company of a great leader. So, ladies and gentlemen, we already have over 100 people waiting and willing to listen to his coaching session. And I would also like to invite Preeti Verma, who is going to be his coachee for today's session. And before I even get there, let me just take this opportunity to introduce Preeti as well. Preeti is another wonderful human being that I know of, extremely honest, extremely loyal, extremely sensitive, extremely vulnerable. I'm genuinely looking forward to this coaching session so that I can learn and add more traits, more expertise, more sense of presence in my repertoire of coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Dubey and Preeti. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to um, attend this session. Over to you. Thank you.
Things deeply humbled. And just to put myself into perspective, I would like to quote the German poet Wolfgang Goethe, who would have told me, "Do not be so humble, dear sir. After all, you're not that great." So I just want to say that I'm a little embarrassed at what you have said, but be that as it may, I look forward to spending some time with all of you. Hello, and thank you for joining. And Preeti, hi, how are
Hi.
you?
Very well, sir. Very good evening.
How nice to see that smile at this time of fear and uncertainty. There's a terrible rumor going around in Bombay, which is where I stay, and I hope it's untrue. This rumor is that they're going to completely lock down Bombay, including essential services, including medicine shops. I can't believe it, but it's just created so.
Oh, okay. I was on the impression that it's kind of getting better. Yeah. Somehow I have a very different view. I'm of the view that it's getting better, and there are a few red zones or pockets where they're going to keep it really strict, but the other yellow and orange zones or green zones will be allowed to have some, same situation back, like normalcy back into existence.
Well, as they say, "Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar hai."
Fingers crossed.
But you seem to be doing well for yourself at this time.
All good, sir. Pretty much happy. Pretty much happy at home. Yeah.
Great, and yes, I'm really glad to see that smile. It makes me also feel more alive.
Thank you.
So, Preeti, first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a fellow traveler with you for the next 40 odd minutes. I'm very grateful. And needless to say, I mean, I know you're a qualified coach, but everything that we talk about is confidential. So feel free.
It's an honor. It's an honor to have a conversation with you for whatever time that I get. So I feel humbled and I feel grateful enough to be a part of this session. And thank you to each one of you who's associated with this and has given me an opportunity to be here on this platform and sharing this with you and other, like my mentor is there, my colleagues are there. So it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Great. So, Preeti, what should we talk about today?
Yeah. So, a few things which are playing on my mind, and I don't know, in our conversations, earlier conversations, I did mention to you that I have always been in the limelight of the work that I've done, whether at home or in my professional life. And somehow I have always been very committed and high performer. This kind of the wonderful times that we are in is kind of giving me confused signals. I know that I can do a certain thing, but then I don't know how to do it because this particular times that we are in, it's not it's making me confused to find ways to do it. So the thought that is playing on my mind is that how do I contribute more towards my work? How do I be more resourceful? The other thought, which is also going uh, like just a thought, but yes, considering the times which are in, and the core responsibility is being in the business development, being in the sales. How do you go out and work around it? How do you accelerate sales for your organization? Because 20 years back when I started my professional journey, right after my MBA, and that was in sales. The first lesson that I got from my country manager of the organization, his name is Mr. Shrikant Rao. With all due respect to him, he just taught me one line that Preeti, for any organization to sustain, sales is the bread and butter. And each individual who's a part of it, whether support or in sales or in marketing or any other function, they need to contribute towards it. So something that has always stayed with me till now, and that plays with me when I'm not able to do what I want to do. And yeah, like I said, these are wonderful times, but they are making me confused as well as to how do I go about it. So I just thought probably I'll use this session to have this conversation with you and
stuff. Sure. So, Preeti, this is what I heard you say, and please correct me if I've got it wrong. You started off by saying that you have always been in the limelight and you've done well, whether you were at home or in the office. But at this point in time, there is some amount of confusion and you mentioned that, I'm confused. And then you talked about, wanting to contribute more to my work, be more resourceful, contribute to my core responsibility. And then you talked about sales. Can I suggest, since we have only 40 minutes, would you like to sort of zero in on something which we can go a little deeper into and come up with something that would be meaningful to you?
Yes, so maybe we can, my first thought, which I said, that how can I contribute more in evolving the business line that I'm a part of?
Okay, so let's just take that. You would like to spend this time exploring how you can contribute more to the business line that you look after.
Sure.
Okay, tell me a little bit more. What is the confusion that you're experiencing?
So my confusion is that in the current times, we are not meeting the customer face to face. So it's all has become virtual, right? Considering that there is so much fear and uncertainty in the air, it's very difficult to have a conversation around selling something which has an attached monetary value to it. However, I'm in touch with my clients. I'm in touch with my clients who are friends as well, to know their well-being, how they're doing, what they're doing, and how they are managing these times. However, there is an inhibition in me which is not allowing me to talk to them about business.
Yeah. So Preeti, tell me, what would be a useful outcome of our conversation today when we end after roughly 40 minutes? What would give you a sense that we have achieved something in this session?
So, what I would like to achieve as an outcome is a plan for myself, which I can put into implementation to know as to how to reach out to people who are clients, prospective clients, etc., etc. But then, how do I add value to them, not just sell? So, how do I? Let me rephrase it. How do I uh, end up selling? So, how do I make a plan for myself to create a solution for them?
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may just play back to you, I heard you say that you are finding it difficult to have conversations with people at this time, and you're feeling inhibited in being able to talk business. And that a nirvanic outcome of our session today would be that if you could have a plan for yourself on how to reach out to people and how you add value to them.
Yes.
So therefore, I hear you say that it's a plan for yourself, and I hear you say that you're finding it difficult to have conversations with people because you feel inhibited in talking about business.
Yeah, because it has a monetary value, and considering, like I said, people have become, I would say, cautious than ever before in their spendings. So as the organizations. So that probably is an assumption that I'm going with, but yet that is stopping me. Is what I get to know about myself when I have this conversation.
It's very interesting that you've talked about having an assumption.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit more about that assumption? Tell me a little bit more. Let's explore it.
Sure. So okay. So it just because you're reading so much, you're reading so many articles, you're reading the news, and it's all across the social media as well as the digital media. The thing is that people are, so there is fear in the air. There is, people are freezing out on spendings. People are saying the cash needs to be at home. and we don't know what the outcome is going to look like, when is this lockdown going to open, or whether the essentials will be available or not. So all these things are probably making me also assume that everybody is scaling back their investments in themselves. So is the organization. From the organizational point of view, investments in the people, and from an individual point of view, investment in himself or herself. So assumption, like I said, is basically that if in these wonderful times, people are being conscious of their spendings. And this has probably been formed, one, based on the media, based on the articles and news which is floating around. And also, after speaking to few of the clients in last 2 months post 11th of March, till the time, like, this was declared pandemic, a global pandemic. So yeah, so since then, and after having those conversations with people, so this has probably kind of got into my head that people are not ready to invest in their learnings, invest in their growth, in the sense by spending money.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just pull back and do a little bit of exploration, Preeti.
Sure.
Uh, why is it important for you to be able to uh, contribute more to your work, to be able to talk to people, including about money, to overcome the inhibition? Why, if you were to really look deep inside yourself, why is it important for you that you must overcome this inhibition and that you must produce good results?
So why is it as important for me is probably that is my way of contributing to the ecosystem that I'm a part of. And ecosystem also includes the professional and personal life that I'm a part of. And when I talk about this particular case, this gets directly linked to the professional life. So yes, where I see it's very important for me to contribute.
Wonderful. Uh, tell me, what would change for you if you were to really achieve what you want to achieve? What would change for you at a personal level?
Like I said, one is contribution, and the other thing is that what would change for me is confidence in me, that I can manage in any situation and still go on with my goals in my career, in my life.
Please tell me of a time in your life when you were really successful and were able and had confidence in yourself. What is it that you did when you were at your best?
I think this was at the time when we were planning to move back from the States to India after having a stint of 6 years across US. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence, because finding a school for my daughter, finding a home to stay, and finding a job to be in, and then also supporting my husband to be with him, in US, and convince him to go back. So I think that was one milestone, major milestone that I can think of, and I was pretty confident, and everything was achieved within 6 months of that decision. So that was a really successful one. This was a personal example, so I'm not too sure if you refer to any official.
Yeah. No. I think you sort of started on the right track. So when you sort of were at your best and when you did things full of confidence, and you talked about this episode when you came back from the US, uh, what is it that you were doing differently compared to what you're doing now? And I'm talking about the gifts and the strengths that you brought to bear when you were at your best. And how is it different right now from that time when you were flowing, when your gifts were coming?
Mm.
And what were those gifts?
So if you talk about the strength was definitely one that I was taking decisions on my own and I was very carefree and I was full of confidence. And I knew what I wanted for myself. Yeah, I can think of these immediately, these few things.
So why don't you then do a small exercise? Imagine that you were able to really do all these things again and you achieved what you set out to do. What do you see? What do you feel in this time in the future?
So if I imagine the same Preeti with those traits in the near future, I do see she's achieving what she wants to. Yeah.
And what does Preeti feel?
Well, she feels free and confident. Yeah.
And what do the people who you care for
Mm.
feel and say to you when they see you in that state?
They feel. So I. So you are asking that how do I feel that they are feeling about me? Is that?
Yeah, what do you see them saying to you? Those who you care for, and they're seeing Preeti, the new Preeti, the flowering Preeti, full of confidence, taking decisions, sure of herself.
Yeah. So one is definitely they're recognizing the efforts. The other is from my end, I see that I've been able to earn the respect, which is very important to me. And yeah, and I also see that there is a sense of or you can say that they have instilled their confidence in me because I've been able to sail through this.
And Preeti, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mhm.
if that nirvanic state that you just described was at a 10, at what point in that scale are you right now?
So I'm probably at yeah, around 6.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And by when would you like to get to 10?
at the earliest. Maybe by the end of this session. So where I know and I can just run after what I need.
Okay. So, what would enable you to get from 6 that you're in right now to 10 at the end of this session? When you're confident, when you're flowing, when you're not confused.
I think there are few things that I can think of doing is evaluating myself on my own as to what am I doing right and what could be done better. That is one. I can also, so when I'm evaluating myself, I can also question or challenge myself the way I'm operating now and what else can I do to operate from a different context or different environment. Other thing that I can think of is this inhibition, which is an assumption or belief, I don't know, but yes, there is an inhibition. So how do I work on this inhibition and get over with it? And I also somehow feel, because I've done that in the past, that if you have any inhibitions, you have to just face them and cross them to feel and overcome them. So yeah, so that is one exercise I would like to do for myself. Uh, Apart from that, um, Yeah, this is all that is coming to my mind for now.
Uh, Preeti, I want your permission to probe a little deeper on one phrase that I've heard you mention a few times,
Sure, sir.
and that is, there an inhibition or a belief that you talk about, which prevents you from flowing.
Yeah,
Please talk about that inhibition on that belief.
I think, like I said, that state that I want to be in is like confident, being confident and having no doubts and being free. Uh, from where, when I operate out of inhibitions and when I have this inhibition of, or the assumption that I have, it kind of it kind of stops me. It kind of gives a lot of doubt in me, and it also brings the confidence down.
Was there some incident or series of incidents that changed you from the free-flowing person that you were to where today you're finding yourself confused and inhibited?
I would say from where I see currently, I think it is in the air. So maybe the media is adding a lot of, you know, uh, media has a lot to add to this. But yes, because you end up now, I'm not reading anything about COVID um intentionally. I'm making sure that I don't read any news which is related to COVID. But yes, when you're doing some research work or it just pops up, out of curiosity, you get in and you try reading and okay, these many people, these many cases, etc., etc. And the policies that comes from MHA on a daily basis, you get to, as a group, society group, you get to hear about it. There are conversations. So that is why probably inhibitions keep on coming back. But yeah,
Okay, so Preeti, if you permit me, I just want to play back what I've heard till now,
sure,
so
sir.
that we can start moving towards what we set out to do, which is to have a plan of action that takes you from 6 to 10 in terms of confidence and overcoming your inhibition, and you would use that to really start making more of a contribution to your business and to become the sort of high performing person who's always been in the limelight and which for some reason you're not there. You talked about, we said, what will it take to get you from 6 to 10? And you said that you will spend some time evaluating yourself on your own, looking at what your strengths are, what is going well, what needs improvement. And then you talked about looking at and overcoming this inhibition or self-limiting belief that prevents you from, for example, talking about money affairs, because you feel that at this point of time, people will not want to talk about business or money. That's an assumption that you have.
Yeah.
And you do want to do this so that you can have confidence in yourself, be removed from doubt. This is what I have heard till now. Have I summarized it correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now tell me, given this, if you had to make a plan of action, now you had said you want to get from 6 to 10 by the end of this, by the end of this, maybe we have another 10 minutes. But if you were to take up a plan of action and give yourself, choose whatever time you have to, and can we lay down some concrete steps?
Certainly, we sure can. So
So
yeah, I'll start. Like I just mentioned a few minutes back, that if I can evaluate what I'm doing currently in terms of my work, which is related to the evolving of the business or expansion of the business, that is one. Second is I can challenge what what I was doing and what I've been expected to. So if I can bring in a clear, not challenging, if I can bring a clear distinction of what the current time wants. So obviously the need for yesterday is not the need for today, and it's not going to be the need for tomorrow. So if I can create a clear distinction between all three phases, that what was in the past, what is in the present, and what could be it, what would it be in the future. So that is another one, which is a clear distinction. One is self-evaluation of my work, and if I can bring my focus back to what I what I want to sell, which can add value. So it's not just the selling piece, but also, like I said, solution, which I mentioned a few minutes back. So how can I sell a solution to the organizations or to the individual? So there's a value.
And how would, sorry, I'm so sorry, I interrupted you. Please.
Sorry, so yeah, so it was just like, how can I create a solution which can add more value to the individual or the organization?
So here is what I heard you say. I asked you, how would you do it? And you said that you'll evaluate yourself. You will figure out how you can, in the current situation, add value to your clients. I'm using slightly different word. We didn't use the word client. And then focus back to what I want to say. Now, will you be doing this all on your own, Preeti, or would you be looking? How would you look for some partner, somebody you can partner with?
So first of all, I would like to do it myself, and because I need to even have a conversation with any senior person in the organization, I should be able to have clear thoughts before I get into such kind of a conversation with my leaders. So to answer your question, whether I would be doing it alone or with a partner, I would choose to do it on my own for now, and then once I have clarity around these thoughts, then I would like to invite a discussion with my leaders and seek their inputs and guidance as to how to move forward.
Can you give me a timeline by which you would like to have this conversation?
Sure. So I would like to keep 1 week with myself, because I would like to evaluate and do some introspection and also research and talk to a few people and see what is stopping me and where am I getting stuck. So I'll do that for a week's time and come back, which is my next Friday. And the week after next is the time when I can reach out to my seniors and tell them, this is what I'm thinking about, and what is it that they feel they can, guide me to move forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Preeti. So uh, before we finish the session, because I can see that we are coming to the end of the 40-minute slot, please share with me what you got out of this session.
So what I got out of the session is probably so you were able to give me the space to open up freely of the thoughts and inhibitions or assumptions, etc., that were going inside my mind, and I was freely. I was able to talk it out, and you were the best sounding board ever, and you heard me. So, uh, so from where I see that what I got out of this session is a plan for myself to question certain assumptions, certain challenges, and self-evaluate myself, the kind of work that I'm doing. Because at times when you're in the rhythm or you're in the flow, you don't get this time to think about, take a pause, and see what is going well and what could have been done better. So now that I have a plan that 1 week I'm going to do only this for myself, that I believe is the highest point for this from this session as a takeaway.
Okay, thank you, Preeti. So I want to congratulate you for coming up with an action plan. I
Thank you.
want to thank you for having this deep conversation. And I thank you for the confidence that you have shown in sharing so freely and openly. And I wish you all the best. Needless to say, should you need any support from me, I'm always there. Feel free to get in
Sure,
touch.
sir. Thank you so much. It was an
Thank
honor to
you.
be
Thank
part
you
of
so
this
much,
session.
Preeti.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now over to our guru,
Absolutely.
Gaurav.
Come on and talk on off.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, so the comments are polling. I've got 11 messages that it's really brave at Preeti's part to bring this topic, and people are saying it's such an honor to listen to Mr. Rajeev Dubey after so long. So there are so many people that you have already touched, sir, who would have probably come here just to see your face and listen to you. Let me just read it. Let me just read it only the comments right now. It says, I'm loving the way the conversation is going on. Mr. Dubey inspired Preeti so well into the next steps of personal experience. I just want to know from him top 3 things which a coach should do to inspire the coach. We will take the questions in a while, sir. Pravinji, just hold for a while. We'll take all the questions in a while. Here it goes. Beautiful exploration by Rajiv ji and keeping Preeti at ease. Now this is possibly the best comment of the complete entire series that we have organized. We have organized 18 webinars, sir. It says smile of both the coaching and the coach is beautiful and contagious. Very well summarized, and seeing the financial impact that the inhibition could lead to. Thus the urgency. This idea of partner is a strategy, I guess. I could experience the best coaching session from a well-learned person like you and a great mentor whom we always look up to. Um, I just love the way Mr. Dubey used her past, a successful event, and empowering her, loving conversation, excellent exploration, probing, fantastic summarizing and paraphrasing, great learning. Thank you. Exploration journey was taken with such ease. Mutual respect was so well maintained. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now if you have attended the last session, here is what we are supposed to do now. I'm going to give you 1 minute, right? Just 1 minute. Type in the chat box what all you loved, what went well, www, what went well in the chat box, not in the question and answer forum. In the chat box, just write down what went well, and so that it can actually help the coach to look at what are the things that I did really well, so that I can actually replicate that in the next session, right? It's a beautiful platform where we all are learning. So my request to you is just write down in the chat box, not in the question and answer forum, write down what went well according to you in the coaching session. It's just pouring and pouring and pouring.
These are very kind people. Gaurav, very kind people.
It's just
I'm sure now you're
pouring,
going
sir.
to come to WNI. What needs improvement?
Amazing, amazing feedback, sir, we are getting. Let me just read it for everyone's benefit. And Rajesh, sir, I hope you have a shawl with you.
Hope I have a shawl
Yeah,
with
because
me.
all these compliments are coming, so you may want to store it somewhere for yourself.
No. Yeah, I'm just, I'm
Okay, so
overwhelmed.
let me just read it. Dubey, I'm excited to be a part of this conversation today. Thank you, Gaurav, for bringing this platform. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Now, here we go. Rajiv ji, it's a pleasure to see you again. Beautiful exploration by Rajiv ji and keeping Preeti at ease. Smile of, as I mentioned to you already, smile of both Kochi and coach is beautiful and contagious. Very well summarized and seeing. What it means is, Rajiv sir, please keep smiling. Preeti ma'am, please keep smiling.
Okay.
It is contagious. Very well summarized and seeing the financial impact that the inhibition could lead to. Thus the urgency. This idea of partner is a strategy, I guess. Sir, I could experience the best coaching session from a well-learned person and a well mentor and a great mentor whom we always look up to. I just love the way Mr. Rajiv used her past successful event and empowering her, loving conversation, excellent exploration, probing, fantastic summarizing and paraphrasing. Great learning, thank you. Exploration journey was taken with such ease. Mutual respect was so well maintained. Lovely session, definitely the energy was contagious. Wow, that was a tough one. Preeti had such a wide set of issues, but it was beautifully narrowed down and dealt with. Enjoyed the coaching conversation. It was great to see how patient and exploratory the coach was. I can tell you, Monica ji, I've had the honor of spending some few days and few conversations with Rajiv ji. It's not that um, it was great to see how patient exploratory the coach was. That's who he is. That's who he is. Very, very calm, very patient, very grounded. Um, the conversation was candid. What is the best part can do in these times? Um, Flow summarized well, contracting and structure of the conversation. Also, courage from both coach and coachee to explore deep. Yes, I second that. Paraphrasing, the way coach reflected back everything the coachee was saying and creating the safe space through respect and a positive regard. Taking Miss Preeti to help her personal achievement in the past certainly helped her to shift to the consciousness. Goal setting, I recognized the script and realized all over again how well it works. A brilliant session just brought back all my training in the most simplified way. Yes, taking Kochi back to her successful zone, which helped bring her enthu back. Posture, presence, precision, poise, pitch, deck of questions. Hey Devang, thank you so much for bringing that so beautifully. Mr. Dubey never suggested solution. Preeti came up with her own action plan. Julian Saab, thank you so much. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया for joining in. Such a pleasure to have you here. Um, Rajiv ji, you would be knowing Julian D'Souza from the
Yeah,
North.
yeah.
He is
Who doesn't
attending.
know him?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Julian, sir, for being here. Appreciative inquiry. Ladies and gentlemen, just to spend just one more line on Julian, sir. Uh, Julian, sir, and I have known each other for over 8 years now. And when, as an organization, when I was struggling, and today also we are struggling, he's one gentleman who has stayed with me to listen to my grievances towards the industry, why people are not giving business, and he always stood like a very solid sounding board and supported me in all possible manners. Julian, sir, once again, thank you. Appreciative inquiry, probing, flawless flow. I love the way instead on delving on the negative feeling, the coach explored the positive feeling. Patience on part of coach to be in the moment, lots of exploration, beautiful space of acceptance, narrowing the coaching to streamlining the issue to bring clarity and focus. Rajiv's calmness and mindful questioning helped Preeti reach the end goal. Time to think and respond, contracting, getting the coaches to move to exploring her strengths and visualizing the new Preeti. Capturing the energy in the moments of insights was great learning. Holding fort and make the coachee feel at ease, rapport and empathy was fantastic. The coachee came out herself on a very sensitive issue, which all are facing but don't want to face. Yes, Sanjeev ji, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and bringing it on the forefront. The way the coach got her to think of her success, which made her realize her strengths, non-judgmental space, exploration with inspiration by coach has gone really well. Um, Thank you, Yadav Saab. Coach's presence, the calmness in the approach could be experienced virtually too. Yes. Um, what went well? Great empathy and listening skills demonstrated by the coach and vulnerability and authenticity by the coachee. Punita ma'am, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure when I see your name. Punita is another one of those very few people who supported me when I was just getting into this space. I'm talking about 2005, 2006. Punita ma'am, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Fiona, keeping the coachee at ease, at comfort, not jumping to conclusions and allowing the coachee to come up with a possible solution. The Fiona that I know of is a part of ICF. If you're the same Fiona, Fiona, thank you so much. Uh, you have seen the journey of the way ICF, we have been able to bring ICF to a very different platform. If you're the same Fiona, thank you so much for joining us. Creating the ease for the coachee by echoing back her expressions time to time and overall, probing further on inhibitions. I think both the coach and the coachee understood each other really well. Backtracking, contracting, visualization, stillness and composure of the coach. You would like to believe that you are on the right path with him simply by the way he talks. Yes, right thinking, right thinking questions, giving sufficient time to get answer from the coachee, giving motivation to the coachee at the end of the session. Wow, that's a really beautiful session. Thank you. End-to-end conversation from leading on the confusion, inhibition of the coachee, taking her high with her past success, and then using it to come up with a concrete action plan with timelines. Each question unraveled the threats that the coachee was feeling. The way coachee gathered confidence towards the end was satisfying. Congratulations both to you. Encouraging the coachee to reflect and introspect. Thank you. Powerful question. What would change for you at the personal level? Hey, Nadejda, thank you so much. Nadejda is another one of our lead faculty members and facilitators for Ericsson Coaching International, and she has been very consistent in providing us feedback what could be done better and how best we can serve you guys. So thank you so much, Nadejda. I think Preeti was able to think with more clarity to find solutions of her own challenges. This was made possible with the expert mentoring and coaching from respected Mr. Dubey. The pace was amazing with great hold of silence. Yes, the contracting session, the probing part, Rajeev got to be the inhibition part, and it led to progress and a good conclusion. Encouraging coachee in desired direction, had our coachee at ease and provided the space. I think everyone has written a word what went well. Okay, it'll take me another 2-3 minutes, so please be there. I love the way the coach led the whole conversation and allowed the coachee to focus on the past success to drive the confidence and rel, relive, relive the moment again. The fluidity of discussion, giving Preeti a chance to share, patient listening, setting time limit, and encouraging her to explore her options. Scaling, sticking to coachee point of view, emphasizing an end of session take away. Sunitji, thank you so much for joining. I'm sure you are picking up really fast. If you're the same Sunit who is going through our online program, I'm sure it's a great learning session. Mr. Dubey is somebody that I look up to when it comes to coaching conversations. It must be a great learning for you as well. Great flow, learning from past experience of Preeti and how to use it today. Conversation become positive once Preeti touched her past achievements. Rajiv sir made Preeti so comfortable that she opened up so easily. It's always a pleasure to see and listen to his wise words. Yes, very powerful. If you are to zero it to something useful as an outcome by the end of this session, beautiful. Mr. Dubey gave Preeti her space and forced to think she could do rethink and reinvest her time to get at par, brilliant questions, mirroring of body language naturally. What went well, the connection, the rapport building was handled extremely well. That opened the gateways to free-flowing conversations. However, the smile did the magic to the critical situation to this discussion. So people are again accentuating and emphasizing on your smile. So my request is please keep smiling. The probing question from past and relating to present and future. Humility and humbleness of the coach makes him very acceptable, leading to coach's vulnerability. The energy exchange between them became more contagious gradually over the duration of the conversation, and that helped open the conversation as they probed further. So yes, a simple and constant simple can go a long way in creating a shift. Rajiv sir's self-awareness touched me. The attachments to the primary task at hand was amazing. The best part was helping Miss Preeti to arrive at the one top area that she would wish to work on. Flow from one question to another was seamless. Rajiv sir started the conversation and put Preeti at ease. Guys, I hope you're not writing it again and again. You just have to write one. As he explored through the session outcomes, he so beautifully assisted Preeti to zero on the outcome of the coaching session. Deep listening, powerful dive questioning, excellent respect for the client, maintaining the conversation space as well. Action plan post session to achieve the session objective was also done so smoothly. Beautiful coaching session done with excellent paraphrasing and unconditional positive regard for the coachee. The way the permission and the feedback was done, very step is must to learn from the session. The way the coach, Mr. Dubey, asked for the contracting question, it actually made a lot of difference. The way Mr. Dubey was paraphrasing, it made a lot of difference. It kept her confidence and self-trust high and taking her to act possibility of them. Best regards. Poster, presence, precision, poise, pitch, this. Again, I faced my first coachee of a similar situation and must say lost my confidence of trying to be coach before I could begin. Mr. Dubey, please Either teach us the way you have learned this or connect us to somebody from where you have learned it. The power space was beautifully managed, equal in true spirit, inviting the client to experience her gifts, talents, traits, and see herself to be that again. Authenticity and depth of exploration. He was so present and mindful about her confusion. Preeti was touch coachy, and she kept bringing on the confusion in various ways. Coach made the coachee came out helpful herself on a very sensitive issue which all are facing but don't want to face. It was natural conversation that was dealing to self exploration. Great structured conversation, and the way Mr. Dubey gained confidence this. Starting with very quick rapport building, paraphrasing outcome based, empowering with past experience, evolving with smart action plan, finally asking what coach he got from the session. No suggestion, only detached curiosity. Excellent session and revisiting the principles of coaching. Beautiful flow. Thank you. Ordinary issues discuss extraordinary, brilliant. Beautiful coaching session. Thank you, Rajeev sir and Preeti, and for being so authentic and vulnerable. Great session, Gaurav. Please stop it right now. I can't further read it on. Please stop it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now, what about the WNI?
Now we will get there as well, sir.
Okay.
Hey, thank you so much for such beautiful comments. Now, the question and answer forum is open for you. So my request to you is throw your questions, write down your questions in the question and answer forum, and I'll be more than happy to ask those questions from Dubey sir. So there are a few questions already. So if you permit, sir, may I ask you?
Yeah. You don't like my name, Gaurav?
Neither, Rajeev said, I will surely. Yeah. Okay, so here are questions. Yeah. So Mr. Dubey inspired Preeti so well into the next step of personal excellence. I just want to know from him the top 3 things which a coach should do to inspire the coachee.
Yeah. So one, of course, is to try and get the coachee to relive her own moment of greatness and become aware of the gifts that she can bring to this world. So that's number one. Number two is to be able to frame and then reframe the issue so that what emerges is a plan of action that can unleash the potential that the coachee has. And finally, to have a plan of action, something which is, I think somebody mentioned it's smart, so that it's not just words, but an action plan that emerges out of the first 2 steps. So an concrete action plan which is connected to the primary task or the purpose, and which draws upon the gifts that the coachee can bring to move from where she is to where she wants to be.
Thank you.
Perhaps that sounds very idealistic, but that's what I was.
Thank you. How does one become a good coach? What qualities of a coach should have to be acceptable as a has to be acceptable as a coach? How does one become a good coach, sir?
If you come from a space of wanting to unleash potential, drive positive change, and be of service to people, I think that is the most important thing, and the rest of it, follows from there. That you respect the other person, and your focus is on unleashing the goodness and the gifts that the person has, and to be able to focus on what is the primary task.
Okay, so there are questions on question and answer as well as chat box. I will read it one by one. It is great to see Preeti opening up. My query is, what if the coach is not communicating freely?
Then there is something wrong with the way the coach is going about his conversation. I mean, Preeti was amazing. That's all I can say. Are there times when people don't open up? Yes, of course there are times. It's not always easy. So Preeti was a very, I think, good sort of coachee for a session like this. But I think there are always ways. Now, it may not open up in one session. I think you may require several sessions. So I think the idea should not be to, from a cricketing parlance, to hit a six on every ball. I think it's not about the coach feeling that he's doing something great, or that, wanting to show how great the coach is. It's about the coachee. And if the whole focus is, what is the coachee getting out of it, then you can get people to open up. But it may not happen so easily as it happened with Preeti. I must say that.
So, there's a series of questions here. I'll just read one, which is like very interesting. Hi, was this a scripted based? Was it a script based or more of intuitive coaching conversation?
Totally intuitive. Gaurav, in fact, Preeti and I had a conversation, and Preeti, and we said, look, don't even tell me what you want to talk about. Let's just totally be in the flow, because as it is, by the way, I was quite nervous. As you know, I've never done live coaching before. So I was going over all my notes that you gave me. I was going over my own things, and I have 2 pages of stuff in front of me. This is my cheat sheet. But I said, let me trust my instinct. Let me just be in the flow. Let me just be present. And let me just connect with the other person and see what happens, what you call the dance of being and doing. And that's exactly what I was trying to do. Being in the flow, being present, being connected, and being totally focused on what is it that the coachee can get some value out of it, and not wanting to show how smart or how clever I am, how many tools and techniques I know, etc.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would request you please write your questions in the question answer, because otherwise there are too many questions and I might miss out on something. I don't want to miss out on questions. There's a next question. It says, how have you learned these coaching skills? From where have you learned it?
Well, from gurus like Gaurav, and also I have worked with a few other people in the past, but it flows out of a deep desire to drive positive change in the lives of anyone that I'm in touch with, and to drive that positive change by unleashing the potential of people and of situations. So that's where it comes from. And, I'm at a stage, I have just retired. I think you mentioned that. So, I'm going through a process of trying to figure out who I am and what is it that really matters to me and stuff like that. And that inquiry also, and I've worked with, as I said, with several people for many, many years on this journey of who am I? Who am I? But all driven at the end of the day by, can I make a difference? Can I drive some positive change? And I can't change the world, but every opportunity that I get, can I do something positive? So that's the desire. I'm not saying that I succeed. Of course, I don't succeed all the time, but I try.
Thank you. There's another comment in the question and answer forum. It says, it was a wonderful session. The flow was very smooth. Rajeev's presence was charismatic, and yet he made Preeti very comfortable. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. The next question is, the session was great. What if the coachee doesn't have clarity on the feelings itself?
No, you have to encourage that person to just say whatever that person is feeling. And one doesn't know what clarity is. At least I don't know what clarity is, and But if the person can just speak up, and then you pick something from there, you can't boil the ocean, you can't solve all the problems of the world. But if you can at least move a step or two in the direction of the goal, I think that's good enough. That's good enough. One step enough for me, kind of a thing. Making a little difference, but that little difference is at least something, some movement forward.
Thank you. How important is ICF credentialing in the journey of a coach? What are you doing about that?
So actually, I don't know, forgive me, I don't know the technical definition of credentialing.
ICF, ACC, PCC, all
yes,
that.
yes. So has that helped me? Yes, of course. Because I think it has put some structure I think it has reinforced a lot of my things. Now, if what they were saying was in violent conflict with my own view of the world, then it would have not helped. But happens that a lot of what the ICC, the ICF
ICF.
talks about, is in deep consonance with my worldview. Having said that, there are still some things that I'm struggling to come to terms with. There are some things which I find a little unnatural, but that's my own weakness. I don't know how to use the tools well. So, I mean, naach na jane angan tedha. You've heard that phrase in Hindi. So I'm blaming somebody, whereas I need to be looking at myself. But I have found on the whole that it provides a good framework, put some method in the madness. But ultimately, I think it's all about wanting to, unleash potential and then keeping on working at it. And can I improve, getting feedback, and then moving on in life. But yes, it's very useful. It's very useful, but you have to not get lost in the tools and techniques, but take out the basic spirit and the basic energy, and then go with the flow. It's about internalizing and then going with your own flow. And ultimately, it is who you are that must come out. In my case, it sort of happens to be largely in line with what the ICF talks about, but not all of it.
Thank you. Another question is, Rajeev ji, what are the challenges faced by a coach?
Well, see, so I will have to first confess that I'm not an experienced coach at all. I mean, most of the coaching that I've done has been at work. So I don't even know whether I'm doing it rightly. But I would say the important thing is, am I useful to the person and the task at hand? Am I adding some value? I think that's the only thing that one needs to keep on asking. Somebody is engaging with me, is giving time, maybe in some cases money, but I have never taken money because I do it in the context of my work in the organization. But an acute desire to be of some value to the person who is connected with me and who is giving his or her time and his or her confidence to me. Can I live up to that? So that's the constant thing. Am I adding value? And your ego gets in the way. Your desire to show how smart you are gets in the way. All those things keep on getting in the way. And so you have to keep observing it and then focusing on, how can I add value to the person that I'm trying.
Okay, thank you. This one. Curious to know, how do you hold yourself so elegantly in the face of emotionally charged situations surfacing in a coaching conversation?
Well, I mean, I don't know how well I do it, but maybe it's my genes, maybe it's my age, maybe it's my foolishness, and living in a world which is full of hope and where I see only the positive side of things mostly. I focus on that.
The next question is, I am very new.
But having said that, I'm not so sure how I would stack up in a really difficult. I have no idea. If it's a really difficult situation, if I am, taken into a situation where somebody is just not listening, because poor Preeti was so nice and cooperative, but can there be cases? There can be. My God, how difficult it is to try and coach your own children or members of your own family. I mean, they say, take this away. They're not even interested. So that happens all the time.
Yeah.
So let me not pretend that, I'm a Pachawa person. I'm not.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Karthik, for bringing this question. Rajeev ji, what are your next steps in your journey as a coach? What are you doing?
I guess just keep engaging in a lot of coaching sessions and try and get feedback and keep improving myself, be in touch with gurus, like the Dadiwala on the screen and other people who are there. And Just keep at it. It's not a 100-meter dash. It's a purpose. It has to be a lifetime mission. It has to be, as you said, who I am. And sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail, but you don't give up. And like in life, there are ups and downs, and you go through it. But your commitment to the cause, commitment in my case to driving positive change, commitment to unleashing potential, commitment to seeing a smile on somebody's face, or helping somebody achieve their primary task. I think that commitment is a lifetime commitment, and it must come from deep within, so that it has the power to be able to handle failures and setbacks and criticism and stuff like that. Because surely, one will not receive accolades all the time, and there will be brickbats too. And you have to be able to take it and keep moving because you're so committed to the cause.
Okay. Now, the next question is, thank you so much for sharing this, Rajeev sir. The next question is, I am new to my coaching journey. On what basis should I decide a good coach training program?
Well, talk to people who have done the journey, talk to people who have done it with different people, and finally, toss a coin if you haven't been able to reach a decision. But the gentleman here is very good. but I guess there may be others also.
There are several coach training institutes in the country, and do your own research, just see that the kind of program that you would like to attend. Speak to people who are representing, who are holding that flag. And if you feel connected, my personal take is, and that's what I often tell people, don't use your brain. Pick up your phone, talk to people, and if you feel connected with the person, just jump in. It could be any program. The next question is, okay, so I've got questions on both the end now. Um, can a hard task master, yes. So I've got only two more questions. I'll just take two more questions. Can a hard task master who's superior be a good coach? Where can he go wrong?
Yeah. So I guess there are all kinds of coaches. As I said, I don't have enough experience. But somebody gave me a book called The $1 Trillion Coach, which is about I'm forgetting his name. He was a coach to many people in the Silicon Valley. He was a hard taskmaster, but he operated out of love, and he operated out of a space which essentially respected people. But he was a hard taskmaster in the sense that he was pushing people. He was urging them to accept no limits, to think alternatively, to reach for the stars, to unleash their own potential. So I think it is the purpose with which you do something. And styles are different. There are some people who have a hard taskmaster style, but if you do it with love, and if you do it with the desire to make a positive difference, then the other person is able to experience that and they accept it. But if you're a hard taskmaster, or you may be a very nice guy, but you're not operating out of love, and you're not operating out of the desire to make a positive difference, then that energy gets picked up by the other person. So I have seen hard taskmasters loved, because people knew that they are doing it out of love and not out of malice. I've known people who are very nice to talk to, who nobody has respected, because they don't believe that that person is operating out of authenticity and out of love. So I think ultimately it boils down to the inner space, and then the outward manifestations will differ.
That's a beautiful message, sir, for everyone on this call. The outer world is a manifestation of what's within us. And I'm going to ask the last question. I know that you are supposed to be in another meeting in exactly 5 minutes. Right? The last question is, how would you approach this same issue if you were a leader of Preeti? What would be different and what would be similar?
For me, nothing would be different, but the danger would be that I would tend to give her gyan, I would tend to give her solutions rather than provide the space. So the leader, unfortunately, we have a definition of leader, which oftentimes makes it difficult not to give instructions, not to be in charge, not to be smart. So you have to be a little careful about that. So I have this huge tendency to give gyan, and I have been rapped on the knuckles many times. कि भाई ज्ञान मत दीजिए, space दीजिए, presence दीजिए. You're not here to provide solutions. You're here to help the other person, unleash their own potential. That you're a fellow traveler, you're a mirror, you're a space. Empty yourself. Take the ego out. Don't give gyan. Idea is not to give gyan.
There are many people who will be able to resonate with all these words, sir. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And in corporate life, they'd say कि दाढ़ी वाला has abdicated. Leader नहीं है.
Yeah.
ये भी होता है.
Yeah.
So these are different styles, views of the world. Ultimately, the important thing is that the primary task must be achieved. That there has to be effectiveness in achieving the outcome. There cannot be any compromise, but there could be many ways of doing it. And I believe in a certain way, but you cannot compromise on the achievement of the primary task. So it's very important to all the time be very clear what is the primary task. And as I think one of the Vedas say, one goal, one truth, but a million paths to it. You can choose any of those million paths, but you have to achieve that goal and you have to achieve the truth.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being such wonderful, participative audience. And
thank you all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I was very nervous. I was almost angry with Gaurav. Why did you have to choose me and expose me in front of 100 people? But I think it's been a very rich experience, and thank you so much. And I think it's important for us to keep wanting to get out of our comfort zone and to jump over the cliff sometimes without a safety net.
Thank you so much, sir. It was such a wonderful experience for me to be a witness to a world-class coach.
अरे क्या बात कर रहे हैं साहब? अनाड़ी coach, अनाड़ी.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Take care. Stay blessed, everyone. Thank you so much, Preeti.
All of you. Take care. Be safe. God bless.
Stay blessed. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.